recording. Okay, welcome back. So today's session, we will be starting from the web services and the APIs, and then these all things we have been completed yesterday. And web services versus API, we will be discussing it, and what are the different APIs in the market and differences between these three. And then we will just jump into the Postman quickly, and then we will do some small operations. You may got one quick question. Hey, Chris, what is the problem with you? I'm asking for API automation. Why is it really required me for doing this one? Yesterday itself, I have given an example. If you wanted to write a novel, you should know all the things. Now, if you wanted to do the automation, means what do you mean by automation? Whatever the things which you are doing manually, so that should be converted into a script. So by automatically, it will execute it and then it will perform the actions. Now you should know how means what are the things you need to do it manually, right? So for doing that manually, you should know the basic terminologies, right? So now, if I ask you to do, boss, get that URI and then do it. What is URI? Okay, if I say that, what is means if I ask you for the URL, what is that URL? Or bring back that particular collection and give it to me, or give me that web services and give it to me. So you should know the. Guys, please go on mute. Okay. So actually we should know that basic terminologies, right? So that's where I wanted to concentrate a little bit more from the concept, the basic concepts, and then learning the further concepts would be much more easier. Okay, so let's jump into the topic, and today we will have some working session also. So with the help of the Postman, we will test it some URLs, and then we'll go to some major Swiggy's or Make My Trip or Amazon, whatever the site you wanted. We can see how these things will happen practically. We will have a practical session today. Okay, so without getting delay, let's get started, guys. So now today we will be starting with this web services versus the API. So when we seen these differences yesterday, so we wanted to know what you meant by exactly an API and what you meant by the web services. Don't worry, guys. I'll take a detailed level of session on the API, and then I'll talk about the web services here. So now starting with this one. So first of all, I wanted to talk about what do you meant by the APIs? Because when I wanted to explain you about the differences between an API and the web services, so first I need to explain about what is particular API. So I'll take one particular notation here. Now, I do have, for example, I'll take the same example which I explained previously also, MMT example. So Make My Trip example. Now, consider this in the Make My Trip. I wanted to travel from the same destination from Chennai to Goa. I need to travel on probably December 25th. So that would be the happening time. So, and how many people, me and my friends, 4 of us, we are planning to go. So 4 people on 25th, I wanted to go now. I given it, and then I will be clicking the search button. As soon as I click the search button, I'll be getting a list of flights here. Now, the first list, different kind of flights will be there. Means like Air Asia, Air India, Indigo, and whatever the airlines, Jet Airways, and SpiceJet, everything I'll be getting it. See, consider in this particular pattern. So nowadays we are getting this all the options. Previously, before 10 years or 15 years, if you wanted to book this flight ticket, I need to go to Air Asia and I need to check what are the flights available. And I need to go for Air India. I need to check the flights for this one. And I need to go for Indigo and then check the flight. Means respective websites, I need to go there. I need to check what are the timings available. What is the flight ticket price it was there. I need to go and verify across all the things. It became a very challenging. And then this guy entered into the market. Okay, what is my business here is I'll bring all the flights details, and you choose whatever you wanted to book, you book it. Just pay me the convenience fees as of 300 to 400 rupees per ticket. So this is what he wanted to do. So many of the customers has been, he increased the user base and doing it. So he increased the user base, and then he started to earn the more and more. So he has been done that. Now, how this would be working? See now, if I'm trying to speak to you in Spanish, or if I talk to you people in French, will you understand? No. So there should be some common language or some common messaging protocols or common data communication, it should happen. So if it is happening, so that it is easier for the both the parties to get understand. Now what these guys, even we do have different means now some of us will speak Telugu, some of us will speak Tamil, some of us will speak Kannada, some of us will speak Hindi. So for all different languages, but now all the people, we do have one common language, which is English. So with the help of this English, how we are communicating it, so like this we will be having certain type of APIs, which it can have it will form a bridge between the two parties, and then it can transfer the data or receive the data with the help of this particular interfaces. Now what it was happening is, now what this guy AirAsia and Air India and these guys has been done is, boss, if someone has been given this particular fields, and with this particular fields, if they started for a request, give this particular response. So yesterday I explained about this particular concept, right? Request and response means in a hotel, there would be a server. As a client, I'll go request this guy, and server will go to the kitchen and he will ask the chef. Chef will prepare that food, and he will give it back to the server. Server will come and give it to me. So now this is what the request and the response. You got it right. The same way, now in this particular example also, now what these guys will be doing it, so the MMT guys, they didn't do anything from the scratch. So just they will be creating, they will be means for example, this AirAsia has been exposed certain endpoint, and this guy has been exposed certain endpoints. So these guys has been exposed certain endpoints. Means when they have been request with this, they have been response that particular data to this guy. Now what this guy will do is, he will make it corrected, and then he will represented it in our UI. So quickly we will try to do try to see how these things will happen. Okay, now if at all you wanted to see here, just we will go here. We will go to make my trip, make my make my trip. Okay, so now if you see here in the, oh okay, I think I clicked wrong URL. In the make my trip, I'll just remove this one for the clarity. Now if you see here in this, I don't wanted to do that. So I was just wanted to give it from Mumbai. I wanted to go it for Delhi, and I'm selecting some date and number of travelers. I'll selecting one. And once I click this search button, so as soon as I click this search button, it should go and fetch the details. Now for, I'll show you the practically, click on F12, go to your network tab. Okay. And see that I clicked on search. See, as soon as I clicked on the search button, you will be seeing this all get requests. You seen it, right? You seen it, right? Wow. See, we don't know. See, in the, these all things will be happen in the backend. So now, as soon as we have been clicked on this one, everything will happen on the backend. Now you can see these are the methods which you will be having in the APIs. So now we have been discussed, right? The 4 methods: get, push, sorry, put, post, and delete. Now the get method, it was trying to fetch the data from this server. So now what it was trying to fetch this particular data, you can see it over here. So now for an example, I'll take another example here, Swiggy. Okay, so if you go for the Swiggy, and if you click here, and as soon as you just, you have been fetched all the things, right? So now just give a click, and then just click a sign in. So sign in, I just wanted to do, I wanted to do a sign in, right? I was trying to do it. See, as soon as I entered my phone number, I clicked the login button. You see here, it was sending me, means what are the requests which I can send it over there. And now as this is a post type, if I click on this particular post type here, I'll be getting all this particular request information. Now, if you see here in this particular request information, I'll be having what is the request I'm trying to make, and what is the response I'll be getting for this, and what is the status of this one, and then means what is the version of this one. Okay, I'll not get into all the details of this one. So at least what should you understand is, without APIs, Sorry, without APIs, as of now, no web applications has been developed. 99.999 percentage everyone is using this microservice architecture, and we do have other architectures like event driven architectures and everything, they have been used it, but still that was in a hybrid model they were using this, means integrating this microservice architecture with the event driven architecture. So don't worry about what is this event driven and all those things, but as of now our discussion is restricted to this particular APIs. So in this particular means the microservices, in microservice how we are using the APIs and how our modern applications has been developed with these APIs, we were just wanted to discuss. And yesterday we have been broadly discussed on this particular APIs also. And then today also, I just wanted to give you a high level gist. So in websites, how these particular endpoints would be used. And most probably, so now when you are doing, means there are two approaches. Approach number one, usually we will create, means we will develop from this scratch. Else, another approach is whatever the things are available in the market, we can use that particular things. For an example, I take payments, weather reports. For an okay, I'll first try to take payment. Now, just to consider payments. Now, we do going for anything. So either you go for Amazon or Swiggy or Flipkart, anything. So we will go to the payment page, right? In the payment page, you will be seeing very frequently we are seeing the GPay or Phone Pay or Paytm or internet banking or different things will be having it, right? Now, do you think that these all guys will develop this all? No, they will not develop this all. So what they will do is Google Pay will expose some APIs. Phone Pay will be exposed the APIs, and the Paytm will expose these APIs. So these APIs will be consumed by the developers of the Amazon or consumed by the Swiggy people, and then they will use this particular APIs to integrate to their application. Now Swiggy will be integrating this particular APIs, and then they will, means whatever the endpoints it was exposed by these particular companies, they will take that particular endpoints and then they will integrate into their application. So whenever I go to the payment page, so as soon as I click on this one, so immediately that endpoint means of the Google Pay, it will come to the reaction, and then it will say that okay, go and do the payment. So immediately it will transfer to the GPay and then it will go further. So this is how the APIs chain will be working, and that is what the APIs. Okay, so why I'm not getting more into the API, because yesterday also we spent more than 15 to 20 minutes in discussion when we are talking about the differences between the microservices and API. I talked more about the API. That's where I'm not talking much more over there. Okay, now means the basic topic means which we wanted to start here is on the web, means now the differences between an API and the web services. But what is this web services? Means now is this both are same, or what is a basic hairline differences, or what is a basic difference between them is APIs can be APIs can be used offline or online, whereas web services can be used only on the online. I didn't understand, Chris. Repeat it again. Don't worry, I'll say that. Means as of now, I'll take a practical example with the means for you guys. You know jar files, right? Means in Java. Jar means Java archive. Now, for an example, you're using Selenium or you're using Apache Py. You wanted to use any other jar files, means you wanted to use the testng jar files, or you wanted to use any jar files, you wanted to use it. Now you can install, means you can bring down this particular jars. You can, right, from we have the Maven repository, or somewhere else we have some bank of jar files. Jar files is nothing but a group of packages. A package is nothing but a group of classes. Okay, I means this is like a old I given the example, right? Our old grandmother will keep all my mango pickles into a big jars, and she will give it to me so that I can eat. The same way, when we wanted to give all the files and all the packages, it will be jarred and then it will give it to me. So now if you open your Java, so you can see all Java jar files also. For an example, now if I go to this particular jar file, means into the Java, so I'll have all my JRE jar files, and all the jar files will have it. So this jar is also called as an API. Means all the libraries, or if you wanted to use as in any utilities, those things are also called as an APIs. See, the definition of an API is API is an application program interface. Now this can be a bridge between two applications to transfer the data, to exchange the data between the applications, or it will have some means the procedures or the functionality written in that particular APIs. So this is called an API. So now these APIs can be used offline or online. But whereas web services, the name itself, it was quoting that web services. The web means it will work only on the network, which is on internet. On internets only this would be worked on. So that is what the basic differences between an API and the web services. We do have other differences also, I'll talk about that. But the basic difference, you should understand that APIs means APIs and web services, both we will be using it for a data communication. If you have an API with a wafer means, for an example, there is a chocolate, dairy milk chocolate. On dairy milk chocolate, I'll keep some wafer, gold color wafer and then blue color cover, right? That is called wafer. Now on API, if I keep a HTTP protocol wafer, then this is called web service. How simple it is, boss. See, when I was learning, I also just surprised, oh, this is a small difference which I don't know. See, now if you understand that APIs just it transfers, communicates the data, it will have its own functions and doing it all. Now APIs can use it offline. As I told you, right? When you go for your Java, so in your Java you can see all your jar files. I'll show it for you. So all these particular jar files are there. Whether it's online or offline, it doesn't matter. It can be used anywhere. For an example, this is the TestNG, right? So TestNG reference library. So these are all jar files, right? So these are all jar files. I don't wanted to use them in the online. I can use it in offline also. So even these jars are called, or all these libraries, if you see the JRE library will be there, right? So all these particular JRE libraries and all these things also called as APIs. So you should know what you meant by an API or web API or a web service. So that is what the basic hairline difference. If it is in Python, so we do have all our egg files, right? All our egg files, all the things we'll be calling it as an API. So now what is the difference between the API and the web services is, so for an API, if you're given a wafer of the HTTP protocol, then that is called web services. Means why we need to give this particular protocol means it works only on internet. So there should be some protocol to transfer the data from one system to another system. So that protocol is nothing but our HTTP protocol. For this particular transfer protocol, so this would be worked only on internet. So that is where it is called as web services. And web services or web APIs are common. But APIs and web APIs are different. And now you tell me all APIs, all APIs might be the web services, but all web services not be an API. Because API may be offline. API may be some library. So that is what the basic difference between an API and a web service and a web API. So web services and web APIs are both the same. Means in generic term, they will not use the web, but API and the web services means if you are having those means those things which it will work only on our network, only for that one, then we need to call them as web services. So now I discussed, right? Payment. We do have the payment APIs And we have been discussed that flights information details. So those particular flights information details, those APIs, so those are called as web APIs or the web services. So you need to segregate the terms. See now, web services. So now it need to serve on web. So for that one, it required some protocol. So which is called means the HTTP protocol. And that particular service means, what do you meant by exactly service means? It's service means it's a task performed or a specific action need to be performed by that particular agent. For an example, server. What server do? Server do service. What service he do? He will bring me, if I order something, he will bring me some, or he will return back me with that. So that is called web service. That is the web service which we wanted to perform. So hope this gives you the explanation of a basic difference between an API and a web service. Any questions here? Okay, so now I'm taking the silence as yes, and I'm proceeding further. So this is what the first pointer which I have been discussed. So APIs can be accessed offline or online. Both the ways APIs can be accessed, but web services always it should be online. If internet is not there, then it will not work. That's simple. Okay, I understood. Next, all the APIs are not the web services, but all the web services are APIs. I drawn the picture, right? So around the APIs, we have the wrapper. So that is the HTTP wrapper. So then that is called as web services. So now all the APIs are all the APIs. Mhm. All the web services are APIs, but not all the APIs are web services. It's vice versa. Okay, so you need to remember this one. So always this particular pointer is very important in understanding this one. So which will make a web service. Okay, so this is the second pointer which we have been discussed about it. So the next one, what are the other differences? So on the which protocol means on which protocols this APIs and then web services would be worked on. What happened? Okay, now if you see here, the web services, I mean the web services will use the only the HTTP protocol, but whereas the API it can use or means the HTTP, HTTPS, and even it can be used FTPS, means SMPTS. So those are different protocols which it can help to do the data transfer. So FTP is file transfer protocol. So just if you wanted to make some protocol transfers, so even that also we can create an API and then we can do for that. So it can support for multiple things, but whereas the web services, it would be supported for HTTP protocol only. So that's another differences. And it will be hosted on IaaS. What do you mean by IaaS? What do you mean by IaaS?
Internet Information Service.
Internet. Yes, Internet Information Service. Now, every system by default, we will have it. So what is this particular thing? See, guys, you need to understand one thing. Now, usually I give the same example for every time. You take a picture and it will store you in your mobile phone in your hard disk so that you can retrieve it back and you need to see it. So now when you develop a particular application, that has to be hosted somewhere else, because whenever I wanted to access it, so somewhere else it has to be stored and then it can be accessed, right? So that is what hosting means. We will be host all your code, means you have written some thousands and thousands of lines of code and all the respective resources means all your images and your data. So whatever it was required, you will be storing somewhere else. And from the means, for an example, now you have been stored in any cloud. So now from here, if I enter this, for an example, now I entered with the Swiggy. As soon as I click the Swiggy, it went and then it was bringing me all these things. Now for an example, if I reload this particular page, you can see here all these pictures and everything was displayed, right? So now these pictures, you can see these differences. Means what is that exactly? This is an image. So We can go for some other images so that we can easily understand. See, this is Swiggy ID. So now these all things to be stored somewhere else, so that when I was retrieving from there, so that with the help of this particular request, I'll go and fetch that particular icon, and then it will be placed into the respective place. So all these things to be hosted on a particular place, right? So now this is what he was saying, that APIs can be hosted on the application or within the IaaS. Means IaaS, every system will have its own IaaS inside our any Windows machine. By default, we will be having the IaaS in our system, so that I can host it in my machine and then I can access that one. But we means whereas the web services can be only hosted on IaaS. See, now our system means you are making our own system as a server, and then it can be accessed by anyone. But whereas the web services, it should have to be hosted particularly on the IaaS only. Means now in the cloud, we will take an IaaS, and then it can be hosted there and it can be accessed from there. So even in your machine, if you are hosted and then made your machine as a server, so that it can be accessed by anyone. So via internet, if you are able to access that particular system and access the data, so that we can do that. Now for the web services, definitely it should have that IaaS in the system, and then that should be available in the internet, then only it can be accessible. So that is what the basic differences between this. And here another last pointer, or the APIs and the web services. It means many of the APIs can be an open be open service. For an example, weather APIs. For an in Chennai, what is the weather now? So I can have a weather API and I can bring it and then I can post it over here. Or payments. So now these all things are the APIs. So APIs can be exposed as an open source or a payable APIs, which is called as API economy. So nowadays the complete world was moving towards this API economy. Means they will create some endpoints and they will release into the market. They will not charge for the endpoint, but how many times you hit that particular endpoint, for every time when you are hitting that endpoint, you need to pay for that endpoint. So that is called the API economy. So that's where the people are earning the money on this. So they may keep something as open. So the open APIs are like you will be having this weather reports, or something related to the any open source tools. We will be having it. So those all things, they can keep it as an open source, but web services will not keep it as a open source. That's a big no for the web services. So this is what a quick differences between the web services and the API. So any questions around this one? I do have chats. Okay, fine. Any other pointers, guys? Any other pointers you any questions you wanted to ask from this?
No, sir.
Okay, now now just we will go for what are the different means now we understood the differences between the monoliths and the microservices, and we came to the microservices and the APIs. Now we have been even discussed the APIs and the web services and the web APIs. Now we wanted to understand what are the different APIs available in the market. So this is the topic which we wanted to go ahead now. So now let's see what are the different type of APIs available in the market. So yesterday we have been discussed about, right? So how means the APIs has been means what is the basic difference of an API. Now here in terms of the APIs, so we do have a four different means five different APIs are there. So the GraphQL I didn't introduce, means I don't wanted to keep it over here, but high level I'll explain you what means what is a GraphQL or why we use the GraphQL, so that we will discuss now. So here we do have four type of APIs. One is SOAP API, next one is JSON RPC, XML RPC. In point of interest, regarding to the RPCs, I'll keep this one in the last, because doing the RPC automation is different. Doing the API automation is different. Keep it in mind. So doing the RPC automation, we should prepare well. There is a separate approach to create an automation for the RPCs. We shouldn't follow the same approach. So we should have a different approach for the RPC, and doing for the rest means the rest in the SOAP API automation. That is we can have the common thing. So that's where in topic of our discussion we'll discuss about SOAP, REST, and then GraphQL. Okay, so now when we see here, what do you meant by SOAP API? SOAP API is nothing but the expansion of this SOAP is simple object access protocol. So the name itself, it was saying that it's a simple object access protocol. So this is a protocol. Now I'll means to explain you the basic difference between the SOAP and REST. I'll give you one small example. Previously, we used to have an envelope. We will write a letter and we will open this particular cover, and then we will keep the letter over here, and then we will send this particular envelope. And there are another mode of uh, thing which is called postcard. So on the front we will be having the address. Here we will enter the address, and here you will write the content, and even the back side also you can write the content, and then you will give it. So this is openly we can send it, and openly we can read it and then access it. But for accessing the envelope, there should be some method would be there. Means we need to open this envelope and then take the letter out, and then we need to read that. So the same way the SOAP is also, it has been formed in the same structure. So this means the the SOAP is a protocol. So yesterday we discussed about what do you meant by a protocol. But whereas the REST is an architecture. Okay, however, I'll means in the next slide I'll be talking about the REST architecture, or the what means what is the difference between a REST and RESTful. What do you meant by REST? So these are all the things we will be discussing in our next slider. But as of now, so we will try to complete with this particular SOAP protocol. Now if you see here, if you wanted to send any particular information, means this is a messaging protocol. Means I wanted to send some message from one system to another system. For an example, previously we used to have means if you know the terminology is called cryptography, or if you wanted to transfer the message from one place to another place, we used to have some birds. So they used to tie the secret message to a bird, and the bird will fly to the another place, and then they will get that the secret agents, right? So that they will transfer the message like that. Or they will have some code language. In the code language they used to send the message. The similar way, if you wanted to send some text via HTTP protocol, so this particular SOAP protocol would be used for that. So this would be purely for the messaging protocol. It just to transfer the data from one system to another system. So now from the system means make my trip, and for the Indigo Airlines. Now Indigo Airlines wanted to send the details. Means if someone requested for Chennai to Goa, Indigo need to send the details, right? Those people at that point of time, they used to send it in this particular pattern. And if you see here, they will be having the envelope, and then they'll be having the body, and this is the structure of the SOAP. So this is a little bit difficult to understand on this particular things. So if you see here, the basic definition, it is a messaging protocol, and it communicates the HTTP protocol, and then it will be sending. So this is this all data is the format is in the XML format. How we will be knowing the XML? XML means extensible markup language. XML format means everything we will be having with the tags, encoded with the tags. Open tag, close tag. If you see here, this is a body, and then it will have a close tag for the body, and it is an open tag for the envelope, and this is a closing tag of the envelope. So anyways, we'll talk about XML files and accessing the XML files, those things later. But as of now, at a high level, XML is nothing but where you have the complete tagging procedures to store the data. Okay, if I call this particular tag, so I can get this, I can read this particular information. And if you see here, this is a little bit means harder to read the data. Means what exactly he wanted to send, whoever technical, those people only can understand whatever the things they have been written over here. So that's where this for some years the SOAP was in the market, but it is not human readable. And second thing is it is complex to create, and third thing is the performance of this one is also low. So these are the disadvantages of the SOAP protocol. Now The next one is REST. REST means RE, representational, and yes, state, T means transfer. Representational state transfer. So this is called a REST means. Now, what exactly we will be doing in the REST, or what is the basic differences between a SOAP and the REST? Next, difference between the REST and SOAP, I'll discuss in the next slide. So as of now, I'll talk about the REST, the REST APIs. Now, for an example, to make you very clear, means very simple, and then doing for this one, I'm seeing this all right. Okay, so this is one state, means as soon as I loaded this one with the help of this particular URL, okay, this particular URL, if you see here, that URL will be also there. Reload, we will see what is a thing. So the Swiggy/restaurants. Okay, see, this is a get response. See, swiggy.com restaurant. And if you see here, what it exactly brings for us, if you see here, it was giving me my address here, and then if you see here, this is what the UI page which it wanted to bring it over here. It's trying to bring this. This is the request. With the help of this particular request, it was bringing this particular page. Now, what exactly I wanted to see it over here. If you see here, it was trying to change from one state to another state. For an example, if I click on this Chili's restaurant, it will go to this another state. Means it was transforming from one state to another state. And before state, it will leave that state. It would be a stateless. So one time it was in that state. Now when I click on another, it will go for another state. See, now as soon as I clicked here, it was going to another state. So representation, what do you mean by representation? Projecting or presenting something to someone else. So now whatever the representation it was trying to do, so representation state transition. Now always this particular state will be transist when we are trying to hit this particular APIs. Now when as soon as I click this particular thing, so it was trying to change my state from one state to another state, and when it was leaving the older state, it will leave that and it will come to the newer state. Now as soon as I click on this graph 50, so gap 50, so then what it will try to do, it changed from one state to another state, and it represents this particular representation in front of me. So it would be a little bit difficult to understand, but at least you understand one particular pointer. It changed from one state to another state. The state means which it will be changing. The application is changing from one state to another state to do the representation. So for doing that one, we will be using this particular endpoint, or we will be using this particular category of API, not endpoint, category of API. So that is what it was trying to say about representation state transition. Means the presentation state, it will transfer from one to another. Now if you wanted to create a REST API, you should have this particular 6 constraints. Means if you wanted to become a police officer, or if you wanted to become an army soldier, what is your basic constraints? You should be run 5 kilometers within the span of 35 minutes. You should be having at least height of 5.9, and you should be having at least a chest of 120 centimeters, and at least you should be able to hold, or you should able to do 50 push-ups and then another 25 pull-ups. So these are the constraints to become an soldier, Indian Army soldier, right? The same way, if you wanted to prepare an REST API, you should have these particular 6 constraints. So uniform interface, and then stateless, cacheable, client server, layered system, code on demand. If you have this particular 6 constraints, then you can make a particular API. So these are the 6 constraints, and I can talk about this particular 6 constraints, but actually I have that slides also. No, but it might confuse a little bit for you. So that's where you just remember that if I wanted to create a REST API, I should have these particular 6 constraints, so that if I have the 6 constraints, I can convert that one into a REST API. So the REST API is a architecture. It's not a protocol. Okay, you need to remember that REST API is not a protocol. So it's an architectural way of creating an API with the 6 constraints. So what are those 6 constraints? So these are the 6 constraints. So for an example, I'll give you a high level if you required on this one. If you wanted in the detail, I'll explain you, because only for this one I created a video for 40 to 50 minutes. Difference between what you meant by REST and RESTful, and then what are these particular constraints. Means uniform interface. Means what do you meant by uniform interface? So there, first we need to understand what do you meant by. For an example, we will take the same thing here. When I have been given here, so here you will be seeing it, right? These particular things. So what is these things are called as? See, now here we are saying that domain and the file. So what is this called as? And what is this called as? If you see here on this particular things, you are seeing the files, right? So these are the things which is called as resources. And these are the things which will called as URLs. Combination of the URLs with the resources with the paths, then that is called as URI. So what do you meant by URI? So I have a picture to explain. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. So I think it's already 12:22. Just go for a break, come back at 12:30. So 12:30 we will resuming back with the differences between URL, URI, and these things we'll discuss about it. Okay, thanks guys. So we'll catch back at 12:30.
Okay.
You can drop or you can stay muted so that we can resume it back at 12:30 for us. Don't.
Hi, Chris. Good afternoon.
Hey Vignesh.
I'm really sorry. Unfortunately, I didn't really. It is recorded, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I can speak it offline. Okay. Okay. Sorry for the delayed join.
Not a problem, Vignesh. I can understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I will later. I can watch the recorded session.
Chaitanya, how much potential the GraphQL has in the market? Like, is it in very usable session?
See, now what is the problem, Saurav? We do have some disadvantages with the REST.
Okay.
So to overcome the disadvantages of the REST services, we are going for the GraphQL. Majority of the disadvantages overcome in the GraphQL. For an example, I wanted to access multiple pictures. For an example, I wanted to access. Okay, I'll share the screen and then try to explain so that it is.
Maybe Chaitanya, you can take a break. I just asked. Sometimes after also you can explain.
No. Anyways, I'll not. I habituated to take for hours and hours, Saurav. Not a problem for me. I just thinking about the people, so that's where I given the break. See, now for an example, there are 2-3 videos are getting played. Now, if I wanted to play one video, I can query with a GET request so that it will get me that particular video, and then I can access. Now, if I wanted to access multiple things at one shot, as a parallel threads as a one shot, the REST can't do that. So that's one of the disadvantage of this. So there would be a delay, or doing for that one, it is a little bit complex in doing that one. There is workaround in the REST to do that. But when we are trying to do making this all work around, it was making so complex. But with the GraphQL, at one point of time, we can access all those things at one single given point of time. And then you can access, and then you can run those videos. So that's the advantage of the GraphQL. So the basically why the GraphQL is coming into the market is means what are the disadvantages of the REST? It was overcoming in this particular query language, GraphQL. QL means query language. So with the help of this particular query language, it was helping to overcome. Nowadays, all the people are converting. Means it's not all the companies. Few means the companies started to convert from this particular REST to this particular GraphQL based upon the advantages.
Okay,
If you
Chaitanya,
want
so
in
free
detail,
market.
I'll talk about that one later.
Yes.
Mr. Chris, I want to add few points here.
Yeah,
Regarding this GraphQL,
yeah.
basically right now we have REST endpoints for all types of application. For example, for the web application also you're using, and for mobile application also you're using. So we will not write separate endpoints for different types of applications, right?
That the pointer I missed to say, Maulana. Thanks. The point. I'll let
Okay.
them know. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
now the point here is um, the web application, you have a grid where you are going to be show like hundreds of rows of data. But in the mobile application, if you show these hundreds of rows of data, that is too much cumbersome and no one will understand. So that we will design this mobile application will show like only summary of the data, right? Now, the endpoint which you are using for mobile application and for the web application is the same. But what will happen when you give a request? Obviously, it will give hundreds of rows of data. Then, how do you differentiate? How do you use mobile application having the same endpoint? For that reason, you will have a whatever the things you want from that endpoint, you can able to access it. So I want only 5 rows. Can you please give me 5 rows? Then it will give the 5 rows for you. And also like you have from the one endpoint, there will be multiple objects you can able to access. For example, there is a parent object, child object, and subchild object, which is used in the web application. But for mobile application is not needed. Only parent object is needed. At that reason also, you can request, okay, I need only parent object. It will give the parent object to you in the mobile application. That means like on demand, whatever you want, that will be served by the GraphQL. That will not serve by the test endpoint. That is a major difference between the graph and the
Okay. Now, if you see here, um, the when it comes to the REST APIs, so the REST APIs can be response in the two formats. Either it can be respond in the XML format or in the JSON format. Now, if you wanted to see that one, see now this is what the weather application which I was keep on talking to this one, and from the weather application, it has been started to give a request. Means I just wanted to know what is the temperature in Chennai. So now when I have been requested for this one, the response it will be giving me either in the two formats. So how it would be giving to me is, so first it will give me means if it is an XML, so it will open, means I told you right, the XML will have the specific tagging. So the country tag, the country it will be closed. City tag, it will be closed with the city. The temperature tag will be closed. Humid, it will have the humidity tags. Now it will be returning me 33 and the 40. This is what the temperature, and this is the XML format. So either it can be written me in the XML or it in the JSON, right? So now in the JSON, how it will be returning back. So if you see here, it's a country, city, temperature, and humidity. Okay, I didn't understand it in a very clear format. So now you see here, now this is one of the dummy endpoint. I just send, means it's a, by seeing this one itself, we can understand that this is a get method. And for that particular get method, when I try to request for this one, it given me the response in the JSON. So JSON means what do you meant by JSON? What do you meant by JSON object? Anyways, we do have a session on this one. So there we will be talking about that one. So as of now, you can see that it will gives us a very clear human readability output. So the JSON will have the key pair values. Now, if you see here, I can understand that this is ID 7, email. This is the email. What is the first name? What is the last name? And what is a picture? Avatar means the picture. So where I should get it? So this is the image. So if I click on this particular thing, I'll be getting the image on this one. So this is how I'll be getting this particular responses. Now see, now if I wanted to have it in the XML format, it will convert me into the XML format. These all things are by default, it happens in the Postman. So anyways, I'll come to the Postman very quickly now. So there we will be discussing about this one. So now when we have a REST API, so the REST API can be responsed in the two formats. So this is what the two format which it will be giving to me. Okay, now the basic differences between a SOAP UI, the SOAP API and the REST API is, so already we have been quickly discussed this particular point is, so that we will see what are the quick differences over here. Now, this is means the XML based messaging protocol. So the first difference itself, SOAP is a protocol, whereas the REST is an architectural design, architectural style protocol. Okay, so now this is what it was trying to do is, it will try to send the message in terms of XML only, which will have the envelope. You seen it, right? We do have the envelope. In the envelope we will be having the body, and according to this it will send this one. So but whereas the rest will have an architectural style, so where this particular architectural style will have these particular 6 constraints. So based upon this particular 6 constraints, we will be creating an REST API. Okay, so now what are the next differences is, so it uses the XML and JSON data to send and receive the data. So now this is what we have been seeing it, right? When we are requesting, we are sending it in the JSON or XML format. When you are getting the response, you will be getting the format in the JSON or the XML format in this one. But whereas in the SOAP, it uses one language. So this is Web Service Definition Language, WSDL. So Web Service Definition Language. It uses this language to communicate between the client and server. So now that communication, it uses this language. With the help of this language only, it will fetch, it will transfer the data communication. But whereas in the rest, it uses the XML and then JSON. And if you see here, invokes the services by calling the RPC method. So what do you meant by RPC? Remote procedure calls. So now when we are doing this particular remote procedure calls, with the help of this particular RPC methods only, we are trying to invoke this particular SOAP APIs. But whereas in REST APIs, it can be simply called via URL paths. Now if you see here in the Postman, so you are giving it right. So this is what, with the URL paths, we are trying to use that. So with the help of this particular URL paths itself, we are accessing the data. But there should be an RPC call for invoking the SOAP SOAP API calls. So means how we are calling. So how we are invoking that particular things. So now with the help of this RPC, means what do you meant by RPC? As of now, you just keep that one as a black box and think that that's a procedure for calling the SOAP APIs. But whereas in the JSON, we are using the URLs to call that particular JSON. So now you have been seen in the real time, right? So now wherever we are using it, so everything we are calling it with the respective URLs. With this particular URL, we are trying to call this particular resources or particular images, or the particular whatever the functionality we wanted to do. What means, what is the purpose of that particular API endpoint, so that it will be doing over here. So that's the another difference between the SOAP and the rest. Next, the one is not written a human readable result. So already we have been discussed. So the result which it was giving to us, it is not in a human readable format. But whereas in the result in the REST APIs, which we have been seeing in the Postman, it is very easy to read and understand. Even a layman can easily understand about this one. The next one is it transfers over HTTP, also uses the other protocols called SMPT and FTP. So these protocols also used for the SOAP API, but whereas the REST services or the REST APIs will be used, or it will use only the HTTP protocols. So for SOAP, it can use the SMPT and then FTP, but whereas here in the REST services, we will be having only the HTTP protocols only. And JavaScript can be called on the SOAP, but it is difficult to implement, whereas it is easy to implement the JavaScript on the APIs. See, what is meant by this particular JavaScript means that's a functionality. For an example, now this is a sign-in functionality. Now here I need to enter the mobile number. I can enter only 10 numbers, because the mobile number in India, it was only 10 numbers. I can't call more than this particular 10 numbers. See here, everything they have been written that particular logic and code over here. and I can't enter the characters. See, now I'm trying to enter the alphabetical characters, it was not taking. Means there are some, they need to write some code, right? Oh, this in this particular text box, for this particular text box, it should only take 10 characters, or if it shouldn't take less characters, and if I click on this one, it should throw me the error message, or it shouldn't take any alphanumerical characters. So these all conditions and everything will be there, right? So those things will be written in the help of the JavaScript. JavaScript is another language to write if you wanted to write this particular client side programming, we'll be using this particular JavaScript. See, the client side means whatever the things which we are trying to see it on the front end with your naked eye. So this is called client side. And if something is happening in the back end, so that is called server side programming. So means if at all on this one, so if you wanted to see this code on any web page, go right, give a right click, view source page code, page source. So now here you'll be having this particular page source, and if you see here, internally they have been written some code. So this is called the JavaScript. So here in the front end, this is the client side coding. So they will keep some basic rules and regulation, basic validations, and the basic functionalities. They need to write it in the front end. So those all things, the front end development will be done in this particular JavaScript, and we'll be having the back end script. So now implementation of this particular JavaScript in the APIs. So when we try to implement this particular JavaScripting in the particular API for the SOAP, it can be doable, but it is complex. But when it comes to the REST, it is very easy to implement that particular JavaScript. Okay, so this is what another difference. And the last but not least is the performance. So when we are using the SOAP, it is slower when it compared to the REST APIs. So the REST APIs is compared much more better in terms of utilization of the CPU. So in utilization of this particular resources, it is much more faster and then effective in terms of the REST APIs. So this is what a basic quick differences between a SOAP and REST. Guys, it may be a quite confusing, but still we should know why should we came to the REST and why the world is moving from REST to GraphQL. So that is what Maulal is also explaining previously. So you need to understand that particular differences. What are the different type of APIs available? See, at least if you don't know about the GraphQL, if someone comes and talk to you, boss, have you done any GraphQL in your previous experience? Have you done the GraphQL automation? Or do you know what do you meant by GraphQL? Rather than having a blank, now at least you can say that, oh, this is a different type of API. So now to overcome the disadvantages of the REST, so we have been went to the GraphQL. So these are the basic pointers which you can say. So now whatever we have been discussed, so this particular endpoints can be used for commonly. So now there is no need to write a different code for this. So these are the basic things. Now you can show that particular differences. So that's the reason SOAP here means many of the organizations are completely decommissioned and deprecated the SOAP APIs, and then this they came to the REST. But still you should know when we are using the REST. So why we came to the REST? Because the SOAP is on the SOAP, it have the over advantages. That's the reason we came to the REST APIs. So that's where I just came here, and automating this REST APIs, we use the REST assured. So that's the reason means to getting into that particular mode. So first we need to know what is that particular REST APIs and how this will be working. So that is what I'm trying to explain you, what are the different type of APIs and across this particular different type of APIs. So the REST API is one of the type of API, and these are the 6 constraints and these are the advantages of the SOAP UI. So that's the complete industries were implementing on this particular REST API. Now quickly, when you come for the next time in our next session, now what I'll try to show is I thought of doing this particular thing as a workshop, but unfortunately we do have another 12 minutes with me. So that's the reason I just wanted to give you this as a homework, and then you can come back and do it. What you need to do is just quickly go on internet and just try to download Postman. So Postman can be used for doing manual testing of this particular APIs. Now we know this REST APIs, right? So how to do the manual testing for this particular APIs, and even the Postman was evolved. So actually we can do the automation also in the Postman, but that particular piece of automation can be restricted as a unit testing, not as a full-fledged automation. Automation, what do you meant by automation, boss? Here I didn't understand. Don't worry. So I'll let you know, I'll clearly explain you in that particular part. So go to this particular, means just download Postman for Windows, click on this particular download, and then download the app. So as soon as you click for which one you wanted to do, 64-bit or 32-bit, so just click on this one. So as soon you clicked, so it will download you the 64-bit thing. So downloads, if you go here, this is what the setup it will download. Just it's a normal exe, you can click it and you can go. Previously it used to give it in the as a Chrome plugin. So just if you go in the Chrome editor, so directly we can that one will be available as a plugin. But nowadays they have been given as an independent application. So now they are not supporting from the Chrome plugin. So just go download it, install. So once you have been installed, you'll be getting this. So now here you need to log in for this one. Means you need to do a sign up. If you do something, means for an example, this is an IDE of Postman now. So IDE is nothing but integrated development environment. Now somewhere means previously we have discussed, right? If you wanted to test something, we should, means if you wanted to write the code for Java, you are using Eclipse IDE. Same way, to test the APIs, we should have some IDE, right? So this is what the Postman to test manually. Why I should know about the manual? Boss, if you know to test manually, then only you will know what are the things you need to convert into the automation, right? See, what do you meant by automation? Whatever the steps which I was doing manually, that I need to convert into the automation. Now you should know, so how to, means what are the things you need to test, or what are the things are there to be tested manually, so that you can convert them into the automation, right? To test them manually, we can do it in the F12, but that is not really so helpful to do it. So that's where we should require an IDE. So this is the Postman IDE we have been taken. Now in Postman, what are the validations, or what are the things we are going to test in the APIs? So the same test you need to convert into the automation. So that is what I'm going to show you to you now. Okay, so now as soon as you have been installed, so once you install that, you means as soon as you clicked on it, so then it will ask you to do a sign up. In the sign up, you can log in with the Google, or you can create your own account. So you, once you have been created, it will create you a workspace. So now this is what our workspace. If you wanted to create a new workspace, you can create. What do you meant by workspace? Boss, nothing, boss. I'll go into my room, I keep my table and I keep my laptops together, and I'll say, boss, this is my workspace. And my son will go into another room, and then he will keep all his books and he will keep something there, and he'll say, dad, this is my workspace. Same. Workspace is nothing but it is dedicated for you to work for something else. So the same way it will be created online, and then it will be stored. Will it store in your local machine? No. So you have to be so cautious. This will not store the things into your local machine. Then you'll have the doubt, Chris, then my all endpoints are exposed to this guy, right? Probably yes. Because if you wanted to test, then definitely you need to import that particular collections. And when you imported the collection, this will not store into this. But when you buy this, the Postman will provide you a sub. It have two things. One is commercial and community. In the community version, whatever the endpoints which you are going to keep it and then doing the testing, that is public. They will not assure you the guarantee. But when you paid something and say that, boss, please don't expose this one to anyone else, and no one should access my this, then it will not expose. That's how the people are earning the money. Okay, but this is an excellent tool, no doubt about it. To do your manual testing, you should know this, and it is very simple. Now I wanted to have some endpoint where I get this particular free endpoints or anything. Then go here, there is one excellent site, fake APIs, fake data APIs are there here. This is the site, reqres.in, so requestresponse.in. So this is one of the website, so where you can get the fake data and the fake responses. Now, how I need to do this one? So, okay, I have the get, post, put, patch, delete. These responses are there. Now, what I need to do here? Okay, now what you can do is you wanted to get some list of users. What is this list of users? I don't know. Some endpoint is available so that I can get this particular data. Now, what you can do is you can click on this one, right? So now you can go to F12, and then in the F12, if you see, just go, let me see, F12 network tab, and click on this reload. It will gives you. So now I'll clear all this. First of all, I'll delete, I'll delete, I'll delete. As a page load, and then I have done the reload. I have been done now. Now what I'll try to do, I'll go to here, because when I loaded the page, whatever the things are there, everything are requests only. That is what it loaded me all. I deleted all. Now what I wanted to do, I just wanted to know this particular URL. I'll just click on this get. See now, as soon as I clicked on this get, so let's list of users. Here I'll be getting it, that get request. Okay. So now this is the domain name, and this is the file name, and what is the type of file is this, and how much size it has been taken, and within how much time it was loaded, because these all things are important for us. These things we will be discussing. So because within how much time when I given a request, within how much time it responded me, so that time also we will do the validation. And what is the size of that particular file? Why it matters for us is when we are doing the API automation, so this also we will be doing the validation. I'll show where we will do it. Okay, now what you can do is, so just you click on this one. As soon as you double clicked it, you will get this particular endpoint. Now you take this particular endpoint, and you can go here, and you can create a new, and what is this? I wanted to create a new request, right? So I'll be creating a new request. The request name is list users. That's what the name was there, right? I was just using that, and I wanted to create a new one. So here I'll be creating it as mummy returns, or whatever thing you wanted, you can write there. So once you have been created, where is that? Where is that? I think it created in the dummy. I wrongly selected it. Once again, I'll create that. So request list users one. Okay, to or whatever thing. So create a folder. I'm creating the folder mummy underscore returns. I select this. Okay, now I selected it. Now save to this one. So now if you see here, I selected under this one. So that's where it created me under. So this, because the hierarchy I have been selected, or else if you wanted, I can delete this, and then I'll create once again. So just before the demonstration, I created that. So that's where, so go to the request means, because now what it happened. Guys, you are there with me?
Yes, Chris.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
just
Chris.
doubting my internet. So, okay, so this is one of the way. Is this the only way to do it? No, probably we can do multiple ways, but I need to show the both the ways, right? So I'll just trying to show it. So just I'm trying to create here. Um, the request name is list users. This is the last time I'm trying to do. If it is not, I'll show the another way. Here I'll write as mummy returns, and I'll select this one, and I'll say that go to this one. So now you see here, right? I created a collection. Under this collection, now I can create this one. So now what is that particular URL? I need to get it. So I'll just take this particular URL copied, and then I'll paste it here. And then that's it. My URL was created. And then just I clicked it. It given me the response. See, this is a get request. This is the URL. And then it returned me back all. Wow. Is this a way to do it, Chris? There are multiple ways. Now, for an example, what I can do is I'll take singles users not found. Okay. If I click this get request, you see it was generating it, right? Okay. I'll delete this all. I wanted to have, I'll take this one, list of resources. Okay. Now these are the list of resources, right? So as soon as I clicked on it, this is the URL. So now this is the endpoint. So openly all the few endpoints are available and few endpoints not be available. Even the weather endpoints we can get it. Now what I can do is I can save this one as a JSON file. Now what I'll save this one as resources. Okay, resources. See now this would be stored as a JSON file. See now the expansion of the JSON is JavaScript object notation. Okay, now I'll save this one on the desktop as resources. Now what I'll do, I'll go here and try to import that, and I need to upload that file, go to the desktop, and where I have this resources.json file. This is what just now I created, right? See 9/5 oh 12:58. Oh, it's already 12:58. I just importing format is not recognized. What happened? Open error while importing format is not recognized. Why it is not recognized? Okay, I upload another JSON file which I have been stored yesterday, users.json. Okay, so I stored another JSON. Okay, this one JSON file. Okay, see this is how once you created that file, so just you need to click on import, and then this will import for me. So some means while creating that one, there is a problem. That's where those two files are not working. But other files means this is how we can do it in the two ways. Either you can go here to the site, and from the site you can create that, and then you can take it, and then you can do this one. So once you have this particular endpoints, now let's see what are the things we need to do the validation for this. Guys, I'll take exactly 5 minutes more the time, and then I'll stop the session. I'll just talk about this one. So now when this is, I think I forgot another thing also, differences between the URL, URI, and URN. Now, when we say, as we know that all REST APIs can be called with URLs. Now, this is what my URL. What is this particular URL consists of? Actually, this is called as URI. Now, this is the protocol. So which protocol I'm trying to use it? So this is the HTTPS protocol. What is the method I'm trying to use it? Get is the method which I'm trying to use it. So get means I'm trying to get from the server. I'm trying to get some data from the server and present it to the client. So this is called representation. So now I'm going to hit the server, get the data, present it to the client. Now this method I'm using, get method, and then HTTPS protocol, and then this is called service. So now whatever means, people will call this one as a domain URL, or it can be called as a service. And this is what the path, and we do have query parameters or resources. Resources means, for an example, now if you see here in this one, you can clearly understand what is a resource it was trying to bring. 12 image.png means one of the resources means it's a picture or the JavaScript, or it's a file or PNG, JPEG, some file it was trying to ping it out. So those things are called as resource. So now this is what the resource till here. Now, if you see for IMG faces, so this is path from where I should bring this particular resource. So this is the path, and this is the protocol, and this is the image, and faces are the path, and this is what the domain URL, or that is what the service URL. So this is all together, it forms a URI. Okay, now as soon as you have been clicked for this one, it given me the response, this picture. You seen it, right? So now what this particular endpoint is trying to do, whenever I call this particular endpoint, it will go and fetch me this image. So now you see almost all means, if you go for the Swiggy, whatever the images, it should store somewhere else, and it stores there, and it will fetch the respective images for me from the server. If you see here, it will try to fetch me all these particular images and all the things. Now what you can see, right? So this is image. So this image, if you click on this one, oh, I just wanted to show it here in the response. Okay, this is a JSON .js file, was something like a GIF. It was coming as an image. Any other images? Mm, it's not having this image. This is an image, ice cream image. So now whatever the data we wanted to have it, so with that particular request, it will hit the server, and from the server I'll be getting that particular data. Okay, now coming back to this particular request, now what are the things I need to validate? The first thing is the status code. Status code, what is the status code? Status code is nothing but, so first of all, you need to understand one particular diagram here. In HTTP status codes, we have 5 categories: 1XX, 2XX, 3XX, 4XX, 5XX. 1XX means it will gives you all the information. Why? What do you mean by the XX? Means 101, 102, 103, 104, 105. So what all these things are there? So if you wanted that particular list, okay, you wanted that particular list. Where is that? HTTP status codes. Have you seen that one? Anything here? Okay, I'll just type here
It was there on the
HTTP.
desktop.
Okay, anyways, it's okay. I'll just call it from here, status codes. If you see here in the HTTP status codes, okay, I'll go for the images. It's easier for us to get that. Okay, you see this is a basic image. Usually I follow on this one. Okay, now I'll just store into the desktop. If you see for 1XX, what are the things are there? 100 means continue, 101 switching protocol. You don't need to go through all these things and do understand all this. But if you got a message, now when I have been triggered this particular thing, when I got 1XX means 101, 102, 103, if I get it, then that is only for the information I'm getting this particular thing. And the second thing is 2XX means 201, 202, 203, 204. So this is a success, means there is no error, everything executed properly, then I'll get the 200. So now if you see here, this executed properly and given me the response properly, that's where I'm getting the 200. So success. So now if you wanted to see what are the things are there, if you see from 200 to 226, we do have it. So we do have, means if 200 means okay, create 201 created means some record has been inserted. So means that's created, right? The sign up, for example, a user newly joined, so that is created, then that is called 201. So 200, it's a success. Successfully we are able to access the data. So this particular status, whenever you see the 200, then it is successful. There is no error in my API request. And the response, there is no error in requesting and responding. But whether the endpoint is working properly or not, so that testing will not do it. Only it will say that this is properly requested and properly given back the response. But whatever the content is validated, no. So that content validation is different. You need to understand very clearly, whether that particular API is requested properly and responded properly, that will give the success message. Okay, so if you have any informations, then we will give you back the status codes at 1XX, and if it is successfully requested and respond back, then it is called as 2XX. And 3 redirections. Now for an example, now if you see here in this responses of Swiggy, you might get some 304. What it was trying to do is, from Swiggy it was redirecting to another URLs. So for example, Google. So some Google Tag Manager, because Google Maps, because Swiggy will use the Google Maps, right? At that time, it might go for some Google plugin or Google APIs. When it was trying to doing the redirections, always will have 300s. See now, when it was get, means successfully the page loaded, all things are 200. So now, if it is some client side error, means from the front end, there is something front end, means in this is called the front end, whichever the thing which you are trying to see, this is what our front end. If there is any issue in the front end, then we will get the 4XX. So now 4XX errors are, we will have multiple 4XX errors. So for an example, bad request, unauthorized request, and not found. So these all things are related to the 4XX. Now, last but not least, 5XX. So what are the means 4XX means you've seen it, right? 400, 401, 402, 403, like this till 450, so 440, 499 requests are there. So every request will have the respective information. Oh, if you get the 403, then it is forbidden. If you are doing it 402, so we are getting the payment required. If it is 401, we are getting unauthorized. We need to go to the dev team and say that, boss, when we are tested this one, we got this error. So now you please help us in understanding what it was happening. So when you have experience, so then you can easily understand what is this issue, why the issue is coming. So now for an example, if you're not giving the header token, if you don't have the proper authentication, and then you're trying to access that particular endpoint, then it will give me unauthorized. So from the front end, so means whenever you see 4XX errors, 4XX errors are called as client side errors. So this is not from the server side error. So from client side itself, I have an error. So that is what we will be identifying. Now, if it is 5XX, then it is called server side errors. So means when an endpoint returned me the status code. So now you're seeing here, right? The status code, if it given me the 5XX, then I need to understand this is a server side error. If it is a 4XX error, then I need to understand this is a client side error. And if it is a 3XX means, oh, this is the redirection happening for this particular endpoint. If it is 2XX, oh, the request and response was happening properly and success. And if it is a 1XX, we should know that this is an information. So this is what the first basic check, because whether you have been properly requested and properly respond back, and then how much time it has been taken. See, now when I have been requested, means when I request for this particular endpoint, so how much time it was taken, this will be giving in the milliseconds. So this thing shouldn't go beyond 1 second. So 1000 milliseconds, it shouldn't go beyond that. So 1 second equal to 1000 milliseconds. Now always this can be get in 2 milliseconds, means within a fraction of second it should come. If it is not coming within a fraction of second, so then there is a problem that the dev team has to rectify that particular problem. So we do the validation for status code, we will do the validation for the time, and we will do the time for the size of that particular file. We know that this is the size, and the size also shouldn't go beyond this one. So this is another validation which we will try to do it. So we will see status code, time, and size validations we are trying to do. Now, apart from this one, we need to validate the content of this one, right? So now I requested properly, I got the response properly, but whatever the response it given me, whether it's a right response or a wrong response. See, I asked for give me the list of boxing gloves, but if it is giving me the list of cricket bats, will be used? So there is some logic, there is some problem in that particular API. So now we need to validate that particular content. So now this is what the response body. So now this is the response status code, response time, response size, and this is a response body. Now the what is a response means how to validate the response body. I'll take it because there are lots and lots of validations you need to do. See, now for this particular ID, whether it was populating the right IDs or not, right email IDs or not, whether the first name, last name or not, whether the right URLs or not. So how to validate this one, how to access this? See, previously I told, right, JSON path Jackson. So how to access that data? See, now I need to have ID9's email ID, or I need to have ID 12 first name and last name. So how to access this one and all the things. And once we got that data, how to do the assertion. Assertion means comparing with the expected value with the actual value. So this is what the actual value. I'll have the expected value. I'll do the comparison and I'll say whether this test case is passed or failed. So I'll validate status code, time, size, and then this particular response body I'll validate. Apart from this one, what are the other validations I need to do? I need to go to the headers. This is response headers. This is request headers. Means while I am requesting, I need to pass this as a headers. So this is response headers. Means once I got the response, what are the headers I need to validate? So out of this particular things, there are majorly we need to validate few things, which is the content type here. which we should do it. So what is the content type of this one? So whether are we using this is the encoding mechanism. When it talks about the uniform identifier, when we discuss the 6 constraints, right? One of the 6 constraints is, the first constraint is the uniform identifier, means it should have the same. So it should use the same encoding technique. So here we are using the UFT8 encoding technique. So whether the response is also having the same encoding technique or not. So this is what the thing we are validating over here. And here we will be doing with the cache control, means what is the age of this particular endpoint. So we do have a lot of other validations which we can do from here. So it all depends upon the basic requirement of that particular endpoints. But request headers, the basic thing we will be using it, the content type of this one we will be doing it, and not others are here, but this is the most important thing. And few times we need to validate the date and time and the cache. These all things also we will be validating it. It depends upon the endpoint to endpoint we need to understand. So this is the response headers. And then even sometimes we need to validate the cookies of this one. For an example, if you're working for the online product, now you added something to your cart and then you came back and then doing it. Once again, you logged in. Once you logged in, it should show in your cart that you have added this one. So I added my laptop to purchase a Lenovo laptop. I have whether the Lenovo laptop added in the cookies or not. I need to go back and see whether in my cookies I have this particular value or not. So that is what we need to validate over here. And if you see here, so now we have been validated the status code, time, size, body, response headers, and the cookies we have been validated. Now these are post, means you requested, you got the response, and then you are validating here. But before sending the request itself, so I remove this one. See, for example, now cookies, I'm removing it. Okay, I'm trying to remove the cookie and I'm trying to send. I'm not save this one. Huh? So I removed this. What is happening? It's not working for me. Okay, so once I save, means I saved, and then okay, I'm saving it. By default it was coming it. See, now if I remove this particular data, and then when I given this particular send request, what is the response it was coming to me? Most importantly, the authorization. So we will be having some headers and these things. Anyways, I'll explain this one in the next session, so I'll let you know later. So this one, so in the authorization, so what are the things? Means for authorization means, for example, you're going to my house. What I'll need to do, boss, this is what my key. You take the key and then you can go inside the home. If it is some unauthorized people, can they enter? No. So I should give the key so that the people can enter. So with this authorization, I'll give one key called barrier token. So that is a key. So that now if you wanted to use my endpoints, you should use this particular key. I'll take that key and then I'll try to access that endpoint. Without the key, if I access, then it will throw me an error message, which is 401, unauthorized users. So I'll remove all those things and then I'll try to test it. And even when we are sending it, here we'll be having the version keys and content type and remaining other authorization keys will be adding it. I'll show one of the example for this one. Okay, I don't have, it seems. Payments, ports, authorization. Oh no, okay, I don't have that one. So next week when I was trying to explain you, I'll do it. So now if it is means this one, so what are the things, means what are the, means when I'm sending the particular request, what are the values I need to keep it? I'll remove these particular values. I'll manipulate the values. I'll keep it as a null value. Wherever the mandatory values are there, I'll remove that particular mandatory values and then I'll try to do that. So if I do that all things, now if it is in a post, this is the body. So now here I'll remove these particular values and then I'll try to access that particular endpoint. It will fail because for this, if you're trying to request something, you need to give me properly. For example, I need to go for a hotel and while giving the request, what I'll do, boss, it should be in a white color and then it should be soft. And then for this one, I should have something spicy to be added. So I wanted to order idli. So I need to say that one, not all these things. Or if I'm missing something, what he will do, he will go and bring me dosa. So white means even dosa will be white and this is also white. So he don't know what he need to bring it back. So you need to give the proper, when you're giving a particular request, the request should have the proper values, the key pair values for that. If you are missing that particular characteristics for that particular request, it will get failed. Okay, so those request values you need to give it properly. If you remove that values, it will get the problem. So now we are discussing only purely from the get perspective, get method perspective we discussed. How to do it for the post put delete, I'll discuss in the next week. I'm very sorry that I have been taken more 18 minutes more after our session. I'll stop the session now here. Now, what you guys need to do is on next Saturday, try to install this particular postman into your machine. Go to this particular URL, get this particular endpoints, and then put it into your postman, and then try to hit that, get the response, and see and how these responses are behaving. So now even you have put post get, all these responses are there. For example, now this is a post request, right? So now for this particular post request, you can double click on this one. So even okay, I'll do one thing. So if you click here, now what are the requests you need to add, and what are the responses you need to add, means what is the response you are having it. So now this is a request. While requesting, these are the things you need to add it. So just go here, and then you can try to add it in the postman, in the body. You can come to the format data, and you can add it those here, and then you can try out. So this for your experiment. So now once you understand what you need to exactly validate and what you need to test in this particular APIs, then it is easy for us to convert these things into the automation. Because you don't know what to do. Just if I take in the rest assured and say that, boss, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to, what exactly you need to do in the manual, you are converting into the automation. So first learn the things, what are the basic validations we are doing it from the API. So this is what we have been written in our agenda also. So what to test, means we have been taken the postman, and then what are the things we are going to test on that particular API. What is meant by API testing? It is nothing but testing an API is called an API testing. What are the things we are going to test is the most important thing. So that is what this point we are discussing. So this is in progress. And we have been completed this for today. These are the things which we have been done. I know that majority of the concepts was not covered, but still I'll try to complete these particular sections. Okay, by this, I just wanted to complete this particular session. I'm sorry that it has been delayed. Thank you so much all. Thanks for all your time. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So whoever was done and then they're clear, I don't want to hold you back. So thank you so much, guys. You can drop off. Whoever have the questions, they can stay back. So the next activity for this one is they need to install the postman, download few endpoints, play around that one, come back for the next session. That is what I need to do. You guys need to do it. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
I've shared one link actually, that fake assured, fake REST API. So probably, we tried getting a request response.in, and we found that many of the methods are not working.
Your voice is very low, Saurav.
Am I audible now, Chaitanya?
You are okay. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just shared a fake REST assured API. So this was shared by Shubhasri to me actually. So while doing the POC, we found it. So it's better to use this one apart from request response, because many of the things doesn't work there, but everything works here.
Okay.
And we have a good documentation as well.
Cool, man. So guys, you can try to use this one also. So Swagger is nothing but it's a documentation for the API documentation. We use the Swagger documentation. It have much more. This tool also evolved a lot, but yeah, as of now, you can treat that as a documentation generator tool for the APIs. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and I'm very sorry that it has been delayed by 20 minutes. Let's catch back on Saturday and then see these things, install these things in your machine, and then we can check it over there. Yeah, that's it for today, guys.